I was in bed, about to get up and start getting ready for our game. By ours, I'm referring to the Pelicans.
We played the Celtics.
Right, played the Celtics yesterday, and Brian Crane sent me a text message. I was on the phone with someone else and said, you know, did you hear about what happened with Kobe? And it's one of those situations where you don't want to believe it. And I even told him at the time, well, let's wait. I want to see if this is confirmed from somewhere else outside of just the news source that it came out from. So, I mean, it's on so many levels. It's incredibly heartbreaking. Something was missing. Something was missing for a game that's that big. It's Zion's third game. And this Pelican fan base has been on fire, obviously, since Zion has come back. It just wasn't the same. And it wasn't just, I'm sure, even though yesterday that was the only arena I was in. I'm sure if you go and you look at different arenas or listen to different arenas or telecasts throughout the NBA, it wasn't the same for anyone. When I was in San Antonio, they were our rival.
Sure.
And San Antonio, we were told and taught to hate the Lakers. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and Robert Horry and Derek Fisher, all those guys. Yeah. But I tell you the one thing that you always hear affiliated with Kobe is Mamba mentality, and it's real. The Mamba mentality is real, but this is what I respect more than anything outside of Kobe's work ethic. And throughout the course of a game, he would try and tear your head off. He would try and tear your head off at every opportunity. But at any stoppage of play, he would ask about your family.
Really?
He would ask about your wife. How are your children doing? How's your body feeling? But then when the ball's inbounded, he's going back to try and tear your head off again. So just the many sides of him, his work ethic, the Mamba mentality, but he was also a man that cared about people, his peers. I was always a fan of his. But the thing is, when Kobe came out of high school, a lot of people knew about him, but he didn't become Kobe Bryant, not even his rookie year, as a few years down, because he had a couple of rough years. You know, you can remember playing in the playoffs, the air ball against Utah, a couple of struggles that he had.
He took that last shot.
Yes.
He took a lot of criticism.
But I think that says more about him now. He took that last shot. He wanted that last shot. And from that moment on, he continued to build himself up.
Right.
He continued to make himself a much better basketball player. And as opposed to failing, he used that failure to drive him towards success. I've heard that about Michael Jordan, and I've heard he's still that way to this day. I'm talking about with cards, dice, a foot race, whatever it is that he doesn't want to lose. And that's what, to me, the Mamba mentality is all about.
Yeah.
Your competitive nature. You know, you can remember Kobe having issues with certain teammates that he played with because they lacked that competitive nature that he had. And there's so many different things about him now that you look back at and say, like, you can marvel. You can marvel at some of the shots that he hit. You know, it would be hard-pressed to find an NBA player in the history of the sport that has more big-time shots that you can just remember right off the top of your head. Right. You know, whether are big-time moments, whether it's him going for 60 on his last game or the 81-point game. You know, it's so many different, the lob that he threw to Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah. You know, he has so many memorable shots. Like, as a NBA player that played against him and competed against him for 13 years, yes, I was a big-time fan of his, but I was more a fan of his work ethic. Okay, this is going to sound bad for anyone in the Eastern Conference, but once you got through the Lakers, you felt like you won a championship already. You really did. Like, okay, this may be the first or second round of the Western Conference playoffs, but we felt like we had beat one of the most dominant teams and the most talented team out there. Well, for me, I don't. There's a Spurs culture.
Sure.
Every team, especially really good teams, they have different cultures. There's a culture that's attached to the Los Angeles Lakers with Phil Jackson and Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, but there was also a culture that's attached to the San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, Avery Johnson, all of those guys as well. Well, I think he's important to the NBA as a whole. The ratings are down, and the main reason I think the ratings are down is because of injuries. Yeah. If you look at a lot of the guys that fans want to see play that you heard about all year long, a lot of those guys are hurt. Kevin Durant's not there. Steph Curry's not there. Klay Thompson's not there. Zion Williamson's not there. So it's a lot of stars. Kawhi Leonard's on load management. Paul George is injured. So it's so many stars. And the NBA is a star-driven league. Right. It's driven by its stars. What I've seen from day one, I have been at training camp every day. I've been at every practice. I've been at every shoot-around. And I tell people the same thing. Zion is one of one in NBA history. He is so incredibly genetically blessed that you have to take different attributes from different players throughout the course of history to throw them all together to get what you have in Zion. I have never, in my 13-year playing career, being a fan of the game prior to, and now covering the NBA since I've retired, seen a guy with this size, strength, athleticism, explosiveness, and agility all in one package. Yes, you're definitely scratching the surface because we're only 3 games in. We're only 3 games into his NBA career, and 3 games in, playing 21 and a half minutes, he's almost averaging a double-double and playing not even half the game. Think about how incredible that is, shooting 67% from the field. See, here's the thing about Zion. At every level, everyone's always said the same thing. His skill set would never translate to the next level. So in high school, everyone said, oh, well, you know what? If I was his size, I would be dunking on those dudes too. He's not going to be able to do it at Duke. Then he goes to Duke. And then he's doing 360s and windmills at Duke. Oh, but you know what? The NBA, that's different. Wait till we start playing against those grown men. Then he goes to the preseason, and he's averaging 23 points a game and 7 rebounds, shooting 71% from the field. And they say, oh, well, you know what? Those are G League guys. Right. Wait till the real season starts. Right. And then the real season starts, and we see what this young man is doing. Here's the thing. If he was a jerk, I'm being completely honest. If he had any piece of him that was a jerk, it would be really hard to compliment him. Sure. This young man is extremely humble, a great guy. If you're around him and you're not smiling, something's wrong with you, not him. He walks around and radiates light to each and every person that he talks to. When we stop at every hotel and it's packed outside and everybody's screaming his name, he doesn't walk by everybody and walk in the hotel. He stops outside certain places where it's snowing and 30 degrees, like it was when we got here today. He stops and he signs autographs for everyone. He is a fantastic young man.